Good day everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how to play the game UBuild Monopoly. Now this is a game where you can basically build your own version. They have these tiles that interlock, and I'm going to be showing you the pro version of this game. They have a few different ways you can build it. You can build the starter track, which looks kind of like that. You can build a classic track, which uses more of these. Or you can build the pro track, which I've done over here. But you can also do freestyle, and they have different rules as to how you can do it. One thing they do have here are railroads, and in case you wanted to actually break it up to where the track doesn't connect, you could just simply tag the end of the track with the railroads, and then you'll just simply jump. You've got 6 different little characters over here, and you're simply going to choose one, and you're going to put it here on the go space. You've got money over there, and you're going to give everybody a set amount, the way they've got it separated over there. You also have your title deeds, and anytime you end up purchasing your district or getting a district in some other ways, you're going to receive one of these title deeds. Right over there are your chance cards. You're going to be drawing those when you land on a bridge, which I'll talk about. You've got 2 different types of buildings that you're going to be able to use to build on your districts. You've got the residential buildings, then you have the industrial buildings. Now, the residential buildings are cheaper to build than the industrial buildings, but the industrial buildings have the advantage that if you have a hazard plate on your district, it's not going to affect it. Whereas you have a hazard built on a district which has these, it's going to knock the rent back down to the original price, which again, I'll talk about here in a little bit. Right over here, you have your hazards. You've got the sewage plant over here, you've got the prison over here, and you've got the power station over here. Now you also have your bonus buildings, which are going to help you. And what you've got here is you've got the wind farm, you've got the park, and then you have the school, and then you have the stadium over here. Now this doesn't typically count as a bonus building, but this is going to get you more money anytime you pass go. Now you also have the Monopoly skyscrapers. Whenever you own one Monopoly, basically meaning you own a color group like this one over here and this one over here, you'll have the option of purchasing this, and this is going to double the amount of your rent on the color group that you built it on. You also have the Monopoly Tower. If it turns out that you own 2 Monopolies or 2 color groups, meaning this, this, and this, and then something like this, this, and that over there, you'll be able to build the tower on that, and that is going to double the rent of all of your districts that you have. Now, some of the spaces here on the game, we've got the go space. Whenever you pass this, you're going to receive $2 million in salary. You've got your districts over here. You've got one thing here that says planning permission. If you land on this, this is going to give you the option of being able to build a hazard on someone else's property. You'll be able to build a bonus building on one of your properties. You'll also be able to move the hazard 2 spaces from one district to another. So if there's a hazard on your district, you'll have the option of moving it to get it out of there. Right over here is jail, and there's a few ways you can get in jail. If you land on the go to jail space, you'll go to jail. If you roll doubles 3 times in a row, you'll go to jail. When you roll doubles in this game, you'll get to go again. Or if you end up drawing a card that tells you to go to jail. Now, in order to get out of jail, you've got some options again. You can pay $500,000 to get out of jail, and you can play a get out of jail free card, which will be in the chance section over there if you get it. Or you'll be able to try to roll doubles in 3 turns, and if you're able to do so, you will go ahead and get out of jail that way and then move the amount. If after that you're not able to get out of jail, you'll just simply pay the $500,000 and then move the amount that you rolled. Free parking over there, nothing is going to happen. Right over here you have the chance bridges. Anytime you pass over it, these things open and close. If you get up to this thing and need to cross it, you're going to have to pay a $1 million fee, and then you'll go ahead and push it down. If it turns out that it is down, you will go ahead and cross over and then bring it up like so, but you're not going to have to pay $1 million if you do that. Now, if you land directly on the bridge, there is a chance thing over here, and you're simply going to draw a chance card and do what it says. And here are some of the chance cards. Here's one that says taxi. Keep this, add or subtract 1 space. So you can keep this card. There are some chance cards that you'll pick, and depending on what direction the bridge is, whether it's up or down when you land on it, you will go ahead and just simply follow the instructions on here. And there's several different types of cards here. So what you're doing in a turn is you go ahead and roll the dice like so, and then you will go ahead and move that amount of spaces. Let's just say I roll the 5. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have landed on the Fortune Valley district. Now, I've got a choice. If it is not owned, I will have the option of being able to purchase it. if I decide to purchase it, I'm going to have to pay this price for this one, which is $3.5 million. And when I do pay it, I'm going to receive this title deed over here. Now, anytime somebody lands on this while I own it, it is not mortgaged, they're going to have to pay me what the land rent value is. Now, throughout the game, I'm going to be able to increase the value of this by putting buildings on here. And I'll be able to do a combination of the residential buildings and the industrial buildings. If I want to, I can just build one or the other or combine them both. Now, if you wish to buy residential buildings, you'll just simply pay this amount. For this particular property, industrials are going to cost more, but they do have that advantage that I talked about. And if you want to buy the skyscraper, after you've gotten the monopoly, you'll be able to go ahead and just pay this. Now, all the districts here are going to have different values. The cheaper the district is, the less you're going to be making in rent. Now, if I decide not to purchase this, it's going to go up for auction. The auction is going to start at $10 million, and people are just going to auction back and forth, and whoever wins the auction is going to pay that amount to the bank, and then they will go ahead and receive this district. Now, let's say I happen to own two districts of the same color. I will have the option of being able to build this, to buy the stadium. Now, the stadium costs $2 million, but what this is going to do is it's going to increase the amount of money I'm going to get when I pass go. Normally, I'd be receiving $2 million salary, but with this, I will get $3 million in salary. I can just place this on one of the districts that I own, and that's how that works. Now, once I purchase a district, I'm going to be able to go ahead and build on it, and I'll be able to build up to 3 buildings. I can combine the residential and the industrial buildings together if I want. But let's just say I wanted to buy 2 of them, and I wanted to buy 1 residential and 1 industrial. Well, for this card, it's going to cost $1.5 million per in residential, and then $3 million for the industrial. So in this case, I'm going to pay $4.5 million, and then I will go ahead and place it right here, like so. And if somebody happens to land on this particular property, they're going to have to pay me this amount of rent since I have 2 buildings on there. So they would pay me this amount. Now, let's say I ended up landing here on the planning permission space. I've got a few choices of things that I can do. If I want to, I can go ahead and build a bonus building. Now, what the bonus buildings are going to do is they're going to protect you from hazards. So if you have residential buildings on there and there's a hazard that shows up and you have this on your property, then it's going to basically cancel out the hazard. So you just simply pick one and then build it next to any district you own. Now, it's going to protect the rent of every district that it touches. You can also build a hazard if you would like to. And what this again is going to do is going to cancel out the residential buildings. So if I happen to have 2 residential buildings on this property, this is going to go ahead and cancel them out, and then I would just have to end up charging the land rent. And again, industrial buildings are not going to be affected by this. Let's just say my opponent happened to own Treetop Park over there. I could just be really mean and just simply stick this over here like so, and then he will have that on there. Now, another thing I can do is I can move the hazard 1 or 2 spaces. Let's just say my opponent owned Treetop Park and he landed on this and he wanted to move this out of the way. Well, what he would do is he would just simply move this, and he could go 1, 2, or he could go 1, 2, or something to that effect. Now, if I wanted to actually just move a hazard out of the way, I can do that without having to have a planning permission. I can move it again up to 2 spaces, but what it's going to do is I'm going to have to pay $1 million per space that I wish to move it. Now, if I want to raise some money somehow, what I can do is what's called mortgaging the district. If I wanted to say mortgage the wharf, for example, I would end up getting the current rent value for what this is. So right now, the current rent value for this is going to be $1.8 million. So right now, I'm going to be receiving the $1.8 million. Now, these 2 buildings are not going to be able to be sold, so they're going to stay there. Property is mortgaged. If someone lands on it, they're not going to have to owe me any rent. So in order for me to charge them rent again, I'm going to have to go ahead and pay back the rent value, and then that way I can activate the district. Now, here's a monopoly tower. If you end up owning a monopoly again, which is going to be the entire color group, you will be able to go ahead and purchase this for the cost. For example, this one I would have to end up paying $4 million for each skyscraper. So once I paid that, I could just simply place it on one of the districts that I own, something like this, and that will take care of that. And this again is going to double the rent of all of the districts in this color group. And right here is the Monopoly Tower. If I happen to own 2 monopolies, I will be able to build this. This is going to cost $7 million. So let's just say I happen to own all of the orange and all of the purple. I will go ahead and place it, let's just say somewhere over here like this, and this is going to double the rent of all of the districts that I own. Now, as in standard Monopoly, you'll be able to do trades and deals and things of that nature. Now, if you're beginning to run out of money, there's a couple of things you can do. You can mortgage the districts like I talked about, or you can just start selling some of the districts over to the other players at an agreed upon price. If you end up getting to a point where you owe more money than you can raise, you're going to go bankrupt. If it turns out another player makes you bankrupt, you're going to give that player any money you have left over and any district cards that are not mortgaged. If it turns out that you owe the bank, you're going to go ahead and return your district cards to him. And the game is going to end once everybody has gone bankrupt except for one person, and the one player that has not gone bankrupt is going to win the game. And that, folks, is UBuild Monopoly.